Welcome to Useful Illustrator Tricks for Cartographers. I'm Sarah Bell. I'm a cartographer and a data viz designer. Today I'm going to be showing you how you can make donut holes with Illustrator. I call this the hole punch method. These tricks, they're useful for anyone using Adobe Illustrator. Since I'm a map maker, I'm going to show one of the ways that creating donut holes can be used in cartography. And I like to call this method the hole punch method. I use it when I want to punch holes in overlapping polygons so that there's no more overlap. There are several cartographic reasons for this. One of these is to let things like hillshades or that imagery of mountains in your map pop through your polygons. So for example, you have these two layers that overlap, the blue circle and the yellow square, and they overlap over that image of your hillshade. And that gray circle there represents where those two shapes overlap, and you want to remove that overlap so that you can finally put both of those shapes on your map and let the hillshade shine through equally without any overlap. You might apply a transparency to accomplish this or a blend mode. Now I'll share a demo for how you can do this. Here we are in Adobe Illustrator, and this is a look at the before I do the hole punches. I'm going to point out 3 layers before I get started. We have these glaciers right here. If I select them and then press spacebar, you can see the outline of the glaciers pretty well. And then I have 2 federal land layers. I have the National Forest Service, which is this green polygon, this lighter green over here on the left. And this darker green polygon on the right is the National Park Service. It's North Cascades National Park, where I used to work as a park ranger. So I have a world hillshade down here beneath, and if I select all of these layers that I just mentioned, all of the artwork in the layers, and then if I go to make it a little transparent so I can see that hillshade, well, it's a little too transparent. Let's put it right about there. I can start seeing the hillshade, but my glaciers look a little green because they overlap with the National Park Service and the National Forest Service. Also, I'll zoom out. Control-0 will give me back to full screen. Where there is overlap, it's harder to see that hillshade. So I'm going to undo all that. And I also want to call out, do that, this blue, I want to call out this blue rectangle in the background. I have background for demo. I put this blue rectangle in the background so that every time I punch holes, this blue rectangle will appear through those holes. So it will help demonstrate those holes getting created. Let's undo that so that everything I want to be showing and turn back on that background for demo. And the first step to create these donut holes or to use the hole punch method is to make a copy of the puncher. Actually, hold spacebar gives me the hand tool. I can move in. I have copy the puncher. That's step 1. Control-0 to full screen again. I'm on a PC, so I'm using PC shortcuts as I talk through this. The puncher is the thing that will be cutting the holes in the polygon. So in this case, for this map, my puncher, the thing that's cutting the holes, that's going to create the holes, is the glacier. So to duplicate this layer, or make a copy of the puncher, I highlight the layer name and I go to the layer panel hamburger menu and I select duplicate glaciers. The second step is to drag that duplicate of the puncher directly above the punch E. In this case, it's going to be the National Forest Service. I'll deselect everything. The National Forest Service polygon, this lighter green polygon over here. I'm going to punch holes through that. So here we go. We're going to punch the holes. Let me turn off this original glacier so that you can see that blue rectangle shine through when I punch the holes. To punch holes in the National Forest Service polygon from all of these glaciers, I will select all of the artwork in both layers. To select the artwork, click over here on this selection area. Don't select this target icon unless you really want to define the entire style rules for that layer. So I have that selected, and then I'm going to select all of the artwork in the National Forest Service layer. So I click that same area. And now I go to the Pathfinder tool. Any panel in Illustrator can be found by Windows, and there it is, a Pathfinder, or whatever panel you want to use. I already have the Pathfinder open, so let me select those again. And just another keyboard shortcut that I'm doing is when I hold Shift, it's not really a shortcut, it's a thing. If I hold Shift, then I can retain both of those selections. And I go to the Pathfinder window, like I was saying, and it has these things called shape modes and pathfinders. For map makers, you can think of these, a lot of these anyways, parallel GIS data editing. You're using some data, to edit other data. I highly recommend exploring what these shape modes can do. I'm going to be using the minus front tool. So what this does is it subtracts the top shapes, so in this case the glaciers, from the bottom shapes, which is going to be the Forest Service layer. So I'll go ahead and click that. And now we see that blue rectangle shining through where I had holes. The final step, and this is really just more of a matter of good organization, when I did that, that polygon for the Forest Service, it floated to the top of my copy of the glaciers. I just want to bring that group down to the Forest Service layer so it's neatly organized, and I will now delete the now empty glaciers copy. Cool. Now I just need to do it one more time. I'll make a copy of the glaciers, that duplicate. So now I'll drag the puncher above the punchy. This time it's the National Park Service. I'll turn off the original glaciers so you can see the holes as they are punched. Select both, click that area, hold shift to select this one at the same time, and then go to the shape mode, minus front. Boom, there we go. Now I have this blue rectangle on. If I turn it off, you can see the hillshade shining through, but it looks a little weird because there's no glaciers there anymore. I'm going to turn on the visibility of the original glaciers, and then I will, oops, I forgot to do that one very important step of data organization. Drag this National Park Service shape that floated to the glaciers copy layer. I'm going to drag it back to the National Park Service and delete the empty layer. And I still have those selected here, and I'm going to add some transparency now to see what we have. Cool. Now this map isn't done, but the glaciers appear white as glaciers do. I can see the hillshade wonderfully through all of where there is overlap. And let's look at a final version of this map. And here's the final version of this map after I do some things in Adobe Illustrator and even Photoshop. And I'm telling you, I use this hole punch version. It's not always to punch holes, but I use that minus front for similar purposes on 99% of the maps I make. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the hole punch trick. For more Illustrator tips in the future, I'll be announcing as I release them on Twitter and Instagram at Sarah Bell Maps.